Welcome back to the New Wave Cooking Club. Chef David here in the New Wave Test Kitchen. So today we're going to mix up some of our equipment. We're going to use our beautiful New Wave oven. This thing has so many fans. We've sold millions around the world. And we're going to use our precision induction cooktop with one of our copper forged Duralon non-stick pans. We're going to do a very simple Midwestern style American roast. What we're going to do is we have a beautiful, this is locally raised right down here in Southern Illinois, Mangalista pork, center cut loin. So this is basically a pork loin, same thing they cut pork chops from, which I'm going to tie, and we're going to actually roast it whole instead of cutting it into chops. I'm going to show you a really neat trick with potatoes, something I learned actually traveling through Ireland. I don't know if this is a national dish or was just this little inn that I was able to stay at, but they had these beautiful new potatoes, which I have here, and basically all they did was simmer them in water with a little piece of garlic and some butter. Then they drained off the water, and then they finished them with a whole lot of butter and some good sea salt. It was the most amazing potato I ever ate. It was so simple, but it was beautiful. We got some local organic carrots. These are grown not far from here, about 10 miles away. Picked these up at the farmer's market this morning. Some fresh thyme, and then I'm going to make a sauce later with Dijon mustard and cream, a very classic sauce moutarde. A French sauce, actually, goes perfectly with pork, okay? So let's get started. The first thing I want to do is I want to get my pork and my carrots in the oven and going. So let's start with the carrots. These are very simple. Now, I always buy mine with the top on, and you notice there's no leaves, and I'll tell you why. Here in the kitchen, we do something with the leaves. We don't waste them. If we don't use them, we pull them off for garnish like you would parsley. We pick them, and we actually make a carrot top pesto. You've had basil pesto? We make one with carrot tops. It's an amazing flavor, and if you're a foodie at home, try it. But the other thing I like to do is I like to leave a little bit of the stem on for color. So let's get all these guys trimmed up so we can move right into it. And because I didn't buy them at a supermarket or one of those expensive fancy grocery stores, you're going to see that some of these are different sizes. And for what I'm going to use them for, that's actually quite all right. I don't mind. So here we go, another dry piece. And then all this, again, compost. My son has a baby rabbit now, and if he knew I didn't bring these home for his rabbit, he'd be a little mad at me, but that's okay. We won't tell him. All right, so real simple. Let's get a peel on these. This is called a Swiss peeler, by the way, in case you're wondering. And they work real easy. It's like playing the guitar, which I don't do well. Okay, carrot number one. This is the big one. This is a white carrot. If you thought carrots only came in orange, you'd be wrong. The only reason a carrot is orange is because it has something in it called beta carotene, which you probably heard if you go to the health store quite a bit, but that's what makes the carrot orange. I don't know if that's in the fake suntanning boots that turn some people orange, but that's what makes the carrot orange. So obviously the white carrot, the yellow carrot are going to have much lower levels of the beta carotene. Beta carotene is actually very good for your eyes. It's one of the reasons they tell you that carrots are good for your eyes. Also the vitamin A, very good for your eyes. And then I'm going to show you a couple of other neat things. But the reason I buy these, number one, there is a slight variation in the flavor. The orange carrot, the one with the full beta carotene, much more pronounced carrot type flavor. The other ones are more subtle, a little more herbal. And if you've seen me cook with purple potatoes, which originated in Peru, now you're going to see me cook with a purple carrot. But the neat thing is, when I peel it, it has this amazing purple color. Okay, and this is again a specific chemical in the carrot that's turning it this color, very similar to the colorants that are in dark fruits like blueberries or even tomatoes. But anyway, this is purple, but when I cut it, you're going to see a beautiful white core running right down the middle. Okay, again, all this amazing stuff, guys, has to go. A little board scraper here. All this is going in my compost today. When we cook at home, we put it out for our handful of chickens we have. This one's cute. You'll see pictures all over the internet of carrots that grow into odd little like people type shapes. And it's just a carrot shooting off, hitting something in the ground like a stone, and then it just splits. It's the only reason it happens. Okay, but these are perfectly edible, beautiful yellow color, kind of gives an interesting shape. And what I'm going to do is now, here's two things we can do. Okay, thing one, which is what I used to call my older brother. Thing one, I could roast these completely whole like this, just with a little drizzle of olive oil, or I can cut them up into pieces. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to leave them whole and split them and then the big one I'm going to cut into quarters. So what I mean by splitting them, because the reason I left the tops on, I'm looking for some kind of garnish that's already in the vegetable that I don't have to add later, right? So I split them right through the top and then right down the length. Now that does two things. One, it's an easier portion to eat. It gives you a little bit more of a display of the carrots. They cook faster and more evenly, okay? So that's why I do that. But you could certainly leave carrots of this size whole and they would roast up amazingly. So if you've ever seen me do the carrots before, some other dishes where I cut them smaller, but we have, there's absolutely no doubt here in the Midwest where we are, the winter's on its way. So we're gonna make a real hearty winter style dish. Okay, just like this. And the big guy here, he's gonna get cut actually into 4 pieces. Okay, and you're thinking, well, he's kind of crazy with the long carrot, but you know what? When you see me plate it later, you'll appreciate why I did it. All right, so we come back. I'm going to grab a bowl, and I'm going to toss the carrots. As soon as I'm done with that, we're going to get those in the oven, tie off our Mangalista center cut pork loin here with the bones on, get that nice and tied tight, and get those going, and then we're going to start on the potatoes and our sauce as soon as we come back. Welcome back, everybody, to the New Wave Cooking Club. Chef David here in the test kitchen. Let's get this dish going. This is a beautiful Midwestern Sunday roast. We have local organic carrots, different colors for different reasons, and that's okay. We're going to get these potatoes going. I'm going to tie this off, and we're going to get it roasted. So first things first, let's get our carrots because I'm going to use them as the base. So if you've used a New Wave oven before, you know, it has a little dome holder. And because this has a base inside that's acting like my tray, I'm going to use that to catch all the drippings, which we'll incorporate into the sauce a little later. So look, very simple. I'm going to season these up with a little extra virgin olive oil. Not a lot, because I don't want them greasy. And also, there's going to be some fat coming off of the pork. Black pepper, all right? And we're going to take some of our thyme, and I'm just going to drop it in like this. I don't really want the big wooden sprigs, but I save them. Of course, you know what I'm going to say, for the compost. But here's the other thing. Fresh thyme, if you give them to your chickens, reduces the need for antibiotics. That's true. Look it up. All right? So some more fresh thyme. This is as classic a winter dish as you guys could possibly find. Now, again, if you've watched some of my videos before, you know that these are not getting salt for a specific reason. I don't want them to give off moisture. If they give off moisture, they'll create steam. And all I'm doing with these carrots is basically creating this beautiful, colorful bed, and the pork is going to rest on it, okay? It's actually very simple, guys. Make sure they're all tucked inside neat. We'll have a few stragglers. We'll sort those guys out later. Okay, we're going to save this, and I'll show you why. So now, let's move on to the pork. This is locally raised, taken good care of, beautiful hog. I've already taken the ribs off, the back, the spine. I left a few bones because they look good. It's really it. Some people say, oh, it gives you flavor. Not on this particular cut of meat because there's not enough contact of the meat with the bone really to extract flavor. But what it does here for me actually just makes a really good looking roast, okay? So what we're going to do is take some butcher string, all right, and we're just going to tie it very simply. And this is called an English tie if you're like me and you pay attention to stuff like that. And basically that means we're just going to do single knot. Now, if you don't have anyone to hold a finger for you, do what I do. Here, let me turn it so you can see. I cross 3 times instead of 1. So that's normal. You cross once, right? Like you're tying your shoe. Do it 2 more times. Now there's 3, and now I don't need anybody to hold the string. I can do this early in the morning while everybody's asleep, right? Simple English tie. Trim it off. Done. That goes in the garbage. All right, we're going to need 3 more of these. Very, very simple. Okay, and again, 1, 2, and that's 3, right? I like all my, not only I like my ducks in a row, I like my knots in a row too. It just makes for a nicer presentation. All right, and always leave this little tab because it's going to help you cut this rope off later before we serve it. All right, very simple. And one last guy right here. Okay, and the reason you're probably looking going, wow, chef's tying that awfully tight. There's a reason. It's going to help retain moisture. It's going to promote the evenness of the cooking. So we have the same temperature roasted straight through the loin. That's my butcher tool, goes away. Now, two things I can do here, guys. One, I'm going to make a sauce for the pork. So we can do this. I'm going to heat up this pot. I'm going to lightly brown the pork loin in there. Doesn't have to be perfectly brown because with the heat from the NuWave, it's actually going to get a nice golden crust on it. Second thing we can do, if we want to highlight the flavors, I'm going to serve this roast with a mustard sauce. After I brown it, I could lightly rub it with a little bit of Dijon mustard, right? And then that will give a little extra layer of flavor, okay? You hear a lot of chefs always talking about layering flavors, and this is one way we're going to do it. So, black pepper, a good amount of black pepper, okay? All over. Now, you'll hear chefs say, oh, you have to season it with salt and la, la, la. God bless them. Let them season with salt all they want. I'm not doing it. Salt pulls moisture out. Moisture creates steam. Steam prevents it from browning. I want it to brown. The other thing I'm going to do, a couple of cloves of garlic. And if you've seen me do this before, you'll know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to give these guys just a little crush with my hand, just like that. If there's real loose skin on it, you can peel it off. But other than that, I like to leave the skin on. It goes right in the bin. Okay, just like that. Big pieces of skin can come off. Throw it right in. These we'll save for later. All right, skin goes in the compost. Now, a little oil. It's about a tablespoon, not a lot. Okay, the garlic is in there. You can put a big old sprig of thyme there. All that's doing, the garlic and the thyme, is flavoring the oil. The oil contacts the meat, flavors the meat. It's not very complicated. All right? And then we put our roasting. So while that's browning, let's start our potatoes, because this will take a minute. This, again, I learned this in Ireland on a trip. Most amazing thing. Let's go to max sear, turn it on. All right? It's going to get hot. It's already getting hot. It's amazing. These things amaze me. It's actually already hot. New potatoes have been cleaned. Some of them have a little stem if you buy them organically like we did. And it's just a preference of ours. You know, whatever potatoes you have, just make sure you wash them. Look, these go right in. It's the simplest thing. I'm not even going to cut them. You guys see me cook potatoes all the time. I'm always chopping them into different ways. These little new guys, they go in the pot just like that, yeah? All right? Now watch this. Sprig of thyme. For now. I'll take one of those little pieces of garlic that I have left over from my first smash, right? I'll throw that in there. And then just enough water to make them happy. Lid goes on. This takes about 20 minutes. When I feel that the potato is tender with a tip of a fork or a tip of a knife, I'll stop them from cooking, strain off the water. If the potatoes are still hot, I'm going to add in a lot of butter, some more fresh thyme, and we're going to let them sit. All right? So now back over here, while these are coming up to the boil to get tender, let's take a look over here. All right? You can use any different pan that you want to brown off the pork. I chose to use my sauce pot for a simple reason. I'm making my sauce in the pot. Okay? So while that's browning, one more component to the sauce is going to be my shallot. There's going to be a lot of shallot in this sauce. Ends come off, right into your composter. Cut it in half. Let's get it peeled. Make sure you peel them right, the thinnest part. Don't go wasting your shallots. I never forget my first job at a hotel in New York City. I did that, and the chef almost bit my head off because I was wasting some of the layers of the shallot. He didn't like that. So, a couple things we can do. This is a sauce. So, if you've seen other videos where I cook with shallots, I normally cut them into really fine slices. For a reason, I like the texture. But in a sauce, it's more delicate, so we're going to cut them a little smaller. So all I did was just draw my knife straight through. Not all the way to the end, but just right to the end in the front. This is going to give us the ability to cut these shallots really small into a small dice. And when they hit the oil later and they start cooking, they're actually going to melt. So there's not going to be a lot of texture from the shallots in the sauce, which is what I want. I want a little more refinement in my sauce. So real finely cut here. Take your time, do this right. If you put it in your food processor, I wouldn't hold it against you. Just don't tell me about it. All right, finely chopped. That's a lot of shallots. There's a reason for that. Outside of the mustard, the sweetness from the shallots is going to balance the sauce. Mustard is a powerful flavor. Has vinegar, so it's sharp, right? Okay, let's take a look here, guys. Can you see that beautiful brown color? And all that flavor is going to be in my pot for my roast. So another minute or two, and this is going to go in here. Now, if you have a New Wave, this model New Wave, I'm going to set it at 350 degrees, and we're going to roast this for an hour and 10 minutes with the carrots. When that's done, I'm going to turn the unit off. And now what a lot of people do when they turn the unit off, they immediately take the cover off. Well, you take the cover off, it cools off. I'm actually wanting my pork loin to rest, so when I slice it, all the juice doesn't run out. Everybody knows that. I'm actually going to turn the unit off, leave the roast in here covered for another 10 minutes. Then I'll uncover it, take out the roast, I'll plate the carrots, slice the roast, we'll sauce, and we'll go, okay? So, I'm going to get this nice and brown. And now what we're going to do is this, you can use tongs for this if you want. This can go right on top of the carrots. How does that not look good? If you wanted to, you can throw the garlic in there. It's just not gonna really add flavor to the carrots, but it is gonna make a really nice smell in your house, okay? Here, I'll give you guys that one. I'll take this one back, the peeled one, for my sauce. All right, so compost, this goes on. I got some of my little carrot feet sticking out, looks like, right? I probably just crunched a couple of them. That's okay. Obviously, if you have smaller carrots, you don't have that problem. It's not that big a deal. So, cook time, 350. Cook temperature 350. Cook time, 115. Start. There it goes. We're off and running. Now, this here, I'm going to get my sauce set up. So here's what I'm going to do. I still have the thyme in here. We're going to leave it. I still have this one little clove of garlic. I'm going to leave it. Leaving it whole, leaving the thyme whole, I can remove them later. So right in here come my beautiful, finely chopped shallots, right? That smells awesome already, guys. All right, the rest of this time I'm saving to cook the potatoes in. You'll see. So now you see how fast that recovered its heat from pulling out the pork, because the pork is actually cooling the pan down as it's cooking. All right, so we let these sweat out a little bit. A couple ingredients I have here. One, I've got a good quality Dijon mustard, right? That's number one. The second thing I have is this amazing balsamic vinegar made from apples. You all know what balsamic vinegar is. It comes from Modena in the north of Italy. It's a famous town for balsamic vinegars, where the true stuff comes from. I have a friend there that makes a balsamic vinegar, but made with apples. And this is an apple balsamic. It's amazing. It's thick, it's rich. But you could just use really good quality apple cider vinegar from a local farm or from the grocery store. But I'm going to use this one. I'm also going to use this as a little bit of a finish on the carrots. It's going to be amazing. All right, so that being said, now if I wanted to, even though I just have olive oil in here, if I wanted to add a little butter for richness, I could. But I'm going to do that at the end. We'll get more bang for the buck. All right, so mustard. That is a big tablespoon, and that's another big tablespoon. And that's should be our mustard consumption for the week, huh? Give it a little stir. Now, I still have this on really high heat, and there is sugar in the mustard, and that will caramelize a little bit. And the sugar in those shallots, so you can see this beautiful paste I've developed here in the bottom. Here's my garlic clove, right? So that'll come out easy later. Here's my sprig of thyme. That'll come out easy later. But we let this paste that we just made with the Dijon mustard and the shallots, we're going to let that caramelize a little bit. Very simple after that. A few drops of apple vinegar, some heavy cream, goes on a low simmer. And you know we control temperature almost flawlessly with the Precision Induction cooktop. And I just found out from one of our guys that this was actually rated in the top 10 PIC's induction cooktops ever. And I'm really proud of that fact, because I'm just crazy about these. Matter of fact, I actually send these out to chef friends of mine around the country, and I get back nothing but rave reviews. So if you have another food in your life, spend the money and send them one. Okay, so the apple vinegar is going to go in now. I don't need a lot of this. This is powerful stuff. It's sweet, it's rich. Obviously, it tastes like apples, but it's a very complex flavor. Put this down here. Now you can see that's going to reduce a bit. And right in with some heavy cream. All right? And we let that come to a simmer very simply. You can see the color already. Look at that beautiful color. That is amazing. That garlic clove is going to bring some flavor. The fresh thyme is bringing a whole bunch of stuff to the table. Let that come. Oh, it's already starting, guys. That's amazing. The apple, the vinegar, the mustard. Okay, some fresh black pepper. I'm going to watch the salt right now for the simple fact that most mustard, even the super quality ones like I just used, have salt in them. And this sauce is going to reduce. As the sauce reduces, the salt doesn't reduce, just the liquid. So this could actually, if you add salt now, could actually become more salty. So hold off and season your sauce at the end when you'll know it's perfect. Okay, so we let this come to a boil like that. Now we drop this down. I'm going to go to about 150 on this. 140 is fine. And that's just going to hang out for us. Now over here, let's take a look at our little guys. Beautiful. They're starting to get real soft. They're going to take a few more minutes. So what we'll do is we'll take a break, a couple of minutes. We're going to come back, finish the potatoes, pull out our roast, sauce it. We're going to have the most amazing Midwestern Sunday roast. Welcome back to the New Wave Cooking Club. Chef David here in the New Wave Test Kitchen. So let's finish up our amazing Midwestern Sunday roast. Now, if you remember, we're going to do this amazing potato dish that I discovered traveling through Ireland. We're going to finish our mustard and shallot sauce, and we have this amazing locally sourced Mangalista pork roast with some local organic carrots. Simple, elegant, refined, and fantastically easy. Okay, so right here on our PIC, our everyday pan, I've got the new potatoes. All right, these are freshly dug new potatoes, and they simmered in water with a garlic clove and a piece of thyme. So what we do now is, look, now I just want to get rid of the water, all right, without hopefully not losing too many potatoes, but if not, I can scoop them back out. Now, here's the trick to this. I'm basically making a butter sauce. In order to make the butter sauce, I'm leaving, I don't know if you can see this, but there's about 2.5 tablespoons of water left in the pan. Carefully take out the old fresh thyme. The garlic clove, you can leave it in there because it's real soft. Watch this. We can mash that up if you want. It's just going to end up inside my sauce. So now, we take our PSE, get this out of the way for you, and I'm going to go back on high. This is the highest heat on an induction cooktop. And the reason I want to do that, to a little stem on the potato, let's pull that off. No problem. Take a big, beautiful piece of thyme. Take a couple of the outer stems off. And all you do is take your finger, just run it down the stem, just like that, and the beautiful leaves will come off. And I don't chop the leaves because they're so tiny. I leave them. These are going, stems are going right into my compost bin there. Take those home tonight. Get those in the compost mix. Compost is very easy to make. A couple bags of soil in a big box or a bucket and start adding kitchen scraps to it. Every couple of days, go out and turn it with a shovel. In about 4 months, you're going to have amazing compost to lay in your garden, especially through the winter. Okay, so we're getting a little sizzle because we're on high. Now watch this at home and don't freak out. I'm going to take another big bunch of thyme and I'm just going to lay it in there. All right, we're going to take a little bit of butter. Well, a little bit of Chef Dave style butter. So I'm going to start off right now with about 1/4 pound because this was about 2 pounds of potatoes. I may put some more butter in there, I'm not sure. So that water that's in there is kind of evaporating. So I saved the other potato water. Why? This potato water just had, oh, here's my beautiful sauce. Let me lower that. That's how easy it is to control the temperature on the PIC. Simple push of a button. I just dropped at 100 degrees. Now the sauce is at beautiful holding temperature. So look, back to the potato water. I saved it for a reason. It tastes like fresh thyme. It tastes like the garlic. And it has the potato starch in there. Potato starch in that water is going to help thicken this little sauce that's going to coat these beautiful, freshly dug new potatoes. So look at that. Butter. You can cut it up a little bit. All right, we're going to let that melt. And I'm going to add a little bit of my water back in. Just enough to make this glaze. Lower the heat down to about medium-high. It's 375. Let that come to a simmer. Now, over here, let's move on. This is our NuWave oven. It's the Pro Plus. I know you guys have seen it. Watch this. Take my beautiful pork rack. I'm going to set that here. Take my platter, and let's start getting these amazing carrots. And again, the reason I left these whole, I like the look. The look is very, very fall, very autumn. It just gives me the sense that, you know, winter's coming, and this is some harvest stuff. Here's that beautiful clove of garlic. I'm going to save that. All right, so we can put this to bed now. We just turn it off. So now look, this is our beautiful roasted carrots. And I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with that. So here, let's go back to the potatoes. Move the parsley so you can see this. With that potato water and the butter, I made this incredible sauce. Now, if you leave this on a high heat, it'll break. So that's why I dropped the heat down a little bit. I'm actually even going to drop it now to medium, which is 275. Now I'm going to hit it with the salt. If you remember before, we had very little salt in there. Fresh cracked pepper. All right, I'm just going to grab another plate for those. Okay, so here's our roast. The roast, remember we left strings up so we could easily untie them. And that's why I leave these little tabs on. Helps it easier to pull the string off, okay? That's simple. Now, for your family, you could serve this whole, just like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to carve it for them. This way the kids don't fight too much, right? Also gives us really beautiful looking display. I'm just following the curve of the carrots, curve of the plate. Okay, just like this. With me so far, guys? Okay, now, the potatoes. These are amazing. Sometimes as a chef, something so simple comes along and it's just truly enlightening. These can also be served in a side dish, in a bowl on the side, which is actually how I do it at home. But for this video, we're going to make the whole roast all on one platter. You can even put the thyme back on there, or at least a few sprigs of it, so people can see that that was part of the cooking process. Now, piece de resistance, turn off our PIC, and just remember we chopped all those shallots finely. We had the fresh thyme, we had a little cream, a little mustard, and a little of that amazing apple balsamic, and this just goes right over each one. Sauce is beautiful, it's elegant, it's refined. It has those shallots in there. They're sweet. The acid and the vinegar and the sharpness of the mustard sauce. Right? Oh, guys, that's amazing. A couple of sprigs of parsley, right? Just give it a quick little rough country chop. We don't need that finely chopped fancy stuff. We just want to get that beautiful, fragrant herbaceousness from the parsley. And this is our Midwestern Sunday pork roast with the organic roasted carrots, the buttered new potatoes, and that's how we do it between our NuWave oven, our precision induction cooktop, and these amazing copper forged pans. Come see us on social media. Enjoy this dish. Send me a picture if you make it at home.